a lot. And so last week we talked about, okay, Julie, we're starting.
Okay.
Last week we talked about death and dying, and today we are talking about the mysteries and possibilities of life after death. And Reverend Director Ruella is going to be speaking to that later in the service, so I'm excited to hear what he has to say. So today is May 31st, and we are continuing to explore. This is our last lesson this month in exploring May the Force be with you and how it might be with us after we leave our bodies. That force is still a part of who we are. That force we call God, we call it Christ, we call it by so many names. Life, eternal life, consciousness, and so we're going to explore a lot of that with Drac coming up. So now let us sing the song of the month, Spirit Led. Thank you, Julie. Let us pray. I invite you to let my words be your words. I am so much more than I know, especially if I think of myself as a body. For I am an eternal spiritual being, a spiritual being that lives and moves and has my beingness in God. When my work here is done, I can relax. And I allow myself to release my attachment to this body. I allow the divine to lift me into a consciousness which is one with God, which is aware of my soul. This graduation from Earth School prepares me for new experiences within the mind and heart of the divine. My mind celebrates all that I have encountered and learned here in this holy place. My soul knows that God is well pleased with me. I greet those that have left Earth School before me, and I am joyous to see them, friends and family, once again. I realize that I have the ability to watch over others that I love and care about. I rejoice to see life from this higher perspective. Knowing that my consciousness is eternal, I trust that it is divinely guided into its next experience and adventure. As I learn and grow, and as I pay my karmic debts with joy. Life is so much more than I know, for it is indeed eternal. And as I see and know this for myself, I see and know this for my loved ones that have gone before. I see and know this for my friends that are here and for all people everywhere. For God is love. And love rejoices to see us again and to be seen by us again. And so it is. Amen and amen. And now let us sing the Lord's Prayer. So, it is time for announcements, and a part of our life as human beings and a part of Unity's teachings is that we are not only to know, but we are to act. And so we act with each other on Sundays after our lunch together, with our lunch together, which many people join in helping with and bring, and I want to thank everybody that did bring food today. And there's a sign-up sheet. People can sign up to bring for each additional week. So I invite you to do that. And we also get involved in the community. The city of Claremont has a house called Crossroads, which welcomes back women that have had life sentences in prison. And there is a big welcome home breakfast for them that is coming up, and it is Tuesday morning. So yeah, you can register at crossroads.org for that, and they say it's free. But I think they want people to know and know the stories of these women. We've had a number of women work with us at our church that have been in that program, and Philip Centeno has worked, and I think he continues to work with that program. And the mayor of Claremont had invited me to share this invitation, so I'm hoping that I can go to that. There's a meditation that is done by Sky Schools, and it is the second, third, and fourth, which would be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There is a QR code there that you can punch, and I printed off some, and they're at the back, and you can register. And for our group, there's a free registration on that, so you can go ahead and our Pomona community is so very involved in Sky Schools, and we want people to take advantage of the offerings there. So please do. Unity's prayer and meditation is Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30 by Zoom, and that is the information for that. Compassionate Pomona meets this week. Once a quarter, we try to meet in person, so we're not just square boxes on a Zoom, but we actually get to know that people have arms and legs and feet and all kinds of things, body parts, and that we connect heart to heart. And so it is from 10 till noon at the club. It's also called the Boys and Girls Club of Pomona. They do phenomenal work in Pomona, and it is on South Gary Avenue. People that are coming, I'm inviting them to bring something, a snack to share or a drink to share. So please come and see what Compassionate Pomonaans do and learn more about what the club does. Our book study is on Thursdays from 7 till 8 on Zoom, and we're studying how the stories of the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, live and move and have their being in us, which is a pretty exciting thing to understand in the book, Unity's classic book, Let There Be Light, by Elizabeth Sand Turner. So anybody can join at any time. We're on Moses now. People have been asking for another course in banner making, and there's a few of our banners that are there. I see Carmen's banner is up there, and Jackie's, and a number of them. So I invite anybody that's interested to let me know. We're not starting it until the 17th, and Marianne from the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living wanted us to do it on Wednesday afternoons, and I'm available from 1 to 4. So we will do it here. If you're interested and you want to look at materials ahead of that, see me. I think it's helpful to get things ahead of time. And be thinking about, what is God asking you to learn? What is God asking you to teach? We teach best what we most need to learn, I believe. So I invite you to be a part of that. I'm also offering the Unity 102 class, which has some of Unity's history and beliefs, and it's a time for us to learn each other's history if we want to share, and also some of our beliefs, so that we can see kind of where we are. And Unity we do not tell you what to believe, but we put some things out that may resonate with you on your journey of spiritual learning and developing and evolving. So those are some pictures of Unity Village, our headquarters, and Myrtle and Charles Fillmore, our co-founders. I am continuing to bring books from my library in to share, and they're in the office, so feel free to help yourself to those. Bring them back if you want to share, or keep them, or pass them along. It's up to you. So look through them. And the Boys and Girls Club, where we're going to meet this week, is having a fundraiser, and they're having a lunch for friends. And it is coming up here on June 11th from 11:30 till 1:30. So if anybody is interested in going to that, I think go to their website and sign up to go. And since there is food scarcity in many families, if you can let people know that the Beta Food Pantry is open, right there where Hope Partners is, at kind of across from the hospital, at the Church of, I think it's the Church of Christ there. So feel free to share that idea. And then we continue to collect food and non-perishables for Claremont UCC Church and also for the school district. And now let us share our this affirmation that's on the screen as Liz passes the basket together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all I do, all I give, all I do, and all that I receive. And so it is. Liz? We thank Liz for her faithful presence many, many, many years here and being the usher and helper in many ways. So thank you for that. And now Jackie Morrison, our board president, I invite you to come up and to read your favorite thing of the day, the daily word.
Yeah, it's a good one today, too.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The words for today are world peace. My loving thoughts, words, and actions contribute to world peace. Together. My loving thoughts, words, and actions contribute to world peace. Divine love is my very essence. I draw from this inner source to lay a foundation of love in my heart, and on this foundation I build a house of peace, compassion, and acceptance. I invite others into this house through my kind words and actions. I live in an awareness that all people are divine. All deserve respect and a channel to express their true selves. I view the people of the world as my neighbors. We may look, talk, or believe differently, but it is this diversity that fills the world with beauty. I radiate divine love to all and gratefully receive the love that returns to me. This exchange is the basis of lasting peace. Together, one word, one smile, one act of compassion at a time, we build a peaceful world. And from Romans 12:18, if it is possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all.
Thank you, Jackie. So we have a song today from our hymnal, Wings of Song, and it is called Oneness.
All right.
There's Reverend Drac Ruella, to come and to talk about what he has found out about the mystery of life after death. Come and help us understand, Drac.
I was looking for pictures and I saw that one and I picked a different one. I really
There
liked
were
it.
there were
were
a number of
several.
them. I picked a lot of them. I put a bunch of them in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There are a lot of beautiful ones.
Is that the stairway to heaven?
That's what it looked like. There was one that really did look like the Stairway to Heaven where they had white stairs.
Yep.
And they showed one for you. She was on the same page.
Yep.
He was just
I
going
looked
up
at
the
a lot of them.
stairs. Yeah.
And from
That's the
different
one I-
cultures, yeah.
This is the one I picked up. Oh, geez, that's really beautiful. And I just picked that one. It's got a very strong Egyptian
Yeah.
influence.
It does.
Thank you, David. So, my dad died and I wanted to talk to him in the afterlife. And so I went to a woman who could speak to the dead. She was a medium. And I told her that my dad had passed and that I wanted to connect with him. And so she did go into a trance, and after a few moments, she told me she was communicating with my dad. And then she just smiled. And I punched her. She said, "What did you do that for? What did you do that for?" She was really shocked. And I said, "Well, it's what my dad would have wanted. He always said it was important to strike a happy medium."
A happy meeting.
I cannot tell you how many times alone in my house I read it and laughed every single time. Just one more, and then I will stop harassing you with these. Okay. A man dies and goes to heaven, which is filled with rooms where he can hear a party behind each door is happening. St. Peter, who was the afterlife tour guide, took him to the first floor and opened it. The room was full of Muslims, welcoming the man to come in and join them. Passing on, they moved on to the next door to find a room full of Jewish people celebrating the afterlife. Next, they came to a room full of Buddhists, all calling for the man to come in and join the splendor of the afterlife. The next room, however, is passed by. St. Peter whispers, "Shh, just skip this one. It's the Christians. They think they're the only ones here." I just love that. I was like, yep. So what happens after we die? That's a big question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. How many of you in this room were taught that there was a heaven and a hell? Okay, that makes a lot of us. You weren't, Julie. Okay. How many of us were taught that there was a purgatory? A few people who, okay, Catholics aren't the only ones. Okay. All right. Well, some of you are, but... Oh, you were. All right. And so how many of you were taught that there were sins that were greater than others, and if you didn't get those sins addressed, you wouldn't make it to heaven? Okay, one last question. How many of you were taught that there was only one way to salvation, and that was believing in Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Okay. So a lot of us have that background in here. All of you know I was raised Catholic, so I have that in my background. I have it as well. Looking back on it, I think, back when, at least speaking of the Catholic Church, it was a long time when that was first established, the whole heaven and hell thing. I think, in all honesty, it was a good way for the church to keep people under control and to ensure that people continued coming, that they paid for confessions, and that they tithed to the church. It was kind of a way to keep things going, for lack of a better way to put it. And over time in history, it just became what was understood, and that history was lost. I figure a good way to control people is to control them, especially around anything that has to do with sex or creativity. In all due respect, that's the second chakra in your body. It's the most powerful chakra. If people are being creative, if that is freed up and people are being creative, it's kind of hard for a church to control people, isn't it? That's my theory. I think some other people share it too. So, but let's come back to the question. If I can get this thing to move. Oh, not moving. Hold on. Nope.
David?
Let's try it again. Well, okay, come back to the question that it's,
Right there, he can help you.
oh, it's not doing it. Okay, just do it here then. Okay. I'll just use that, yeah, it's not moving. Oh, now it is. Oh, that's weird. Did I just need to touch it one time to get it happy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Of what happens after we die. I've read a lot of stuff on the afterlife, to be honest with you, and some of what I've read is really comprehensive. And it resonated very deeply for me. After we die, first of all, and every single person I've spoken to who has died and come back, or that I've been by their side in their passing, has seen their family. They have seen family members, they have seen friends. They're always greeted by family or friends, and they're always reunited. Without fail. And it's really remarkable because as a hospice chaplain, I will be visiting with patients, and oftentimes as much as a month or more ahead of time, they will start to see their family, visit them. Very common because they're getting ready. They're waiting for them. So we are reunited with our family and our friends, invariably, every time. Of course, there are people who are still down here, but I'm talking about people who have already crossed over. And then there is a time of rest. There is a time of restitution. There are places that we can go, and in the state that we are in, where we can rest and we can get our, for lack of a better word, our energetic bodies realigned, cleansed of things, relaxed. We rest. There is a time of restitution. And there is a time of life review. Without fail, so many who have crossed over and come back, and people who have been hypnotized and gone back to past life regressions and been able to visit when they were out of their bodies and in what we would sometimes call heaven, but in the afterlife, have said that they've reviewed their lives. They go over what they've done in their life and they learn from it. And based upon what they learn, they make a decision about what kind of life they're going to have when they come back. Because we keep coming. We keep coming because we keep learning. We're learning through being here in a body as a human being. That's a part of our learning. There's a quote. Let's see if I can get this to move. Ah, there we go. By Jagadish Kumar, who's an Indian screenwriter, and I really love that. He says, like the water goes up as vapor and comes down as water again, you leave the old body and take the new body for your soul. We continue. And I know for some of us in here, it might be kind of different to entertain that thought, but I think for a lot of us, it's not too unusual to think that we come back. But we do. And the lives that we have and the life that we have right now profoundly impacts what we're going to continue with as we continue to grow and learn in our lives. It's a natural part of our process. With every, what we call a supposed end, whether it's our life in this body, whether it's an institution, like the school I went to, Marylhurst University, that I loved so much. It closed a year after I graduated, but it's continued on and it's doing other things. Shapes shift and things continue on. They take on a new life. So with each ending, there's a beginning, which I like to think of. I don't know if you've heard of this person, but his book is phenomenal. His name is Dr. Brian Weiss. Have any of you heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've read it? The Many Lives, Many Masters?
I haven't.
Oh, it's a remarkable book. Essentially, the story is he was a traditional psychotherapist. He's still alive and he's still doing it, but he was a traditional psychotherapist. And he had a patient who came in wanting to deal with anxiety, and she just felt stuck in her life. And she couldn't get past phobias. They were just so deeply ingrained in her that she couldn't, her life had lost all meaning for her. There was no quality of life. And so he started hypnotizing her, thinking that maybe in doing this hypnotism like he'd done with other patients, He could help her confront her fears under her in her hypnotic state so that she could release them and move on with her life and resolve it. Well, much to his shock, and at first he was very skeptical about it, she started going into past lives. And she went into these past lives, and these past lives reflected what led to her having the phobias she had in her current life. Or, yeah, she doesn't have them anymore. I think she's still living. He was still skeptical until when she was under, she started going into what was called a space between lives. And she started coming up with information about the son that the doctor had lost, who passed away. Very specific stuff about his son and his family's life. This ultimately changed the therapist's life and the patient's life. The trajectory of his entire career, of course, changed after that, and he began to work with people with their past lives. It's a reality. There's also another man named Michael Newton, if you guys are interested in ever reading anything, who's written several books as well on it that are quite comprehensive about other lives. But I'm going to go into my own life, and there's going to be reasons why, and I'll tell you why. It explains why I'm up here, and explains why I like to work with the dying and those who have actually passed. I actually do work with that too. So, I went to see a psychic myself, and it was about maybe 20 years ago. And she was recommended by somebody in a New Thought church that I was attending at the time, and who I'd expressed some thoughts and I'd ask questions of. And she said, you should see this person. You really should see her. So I said, okay. And I went and saw this person, and I asked her, I said, I don't know what it is, but I know there's something to this. I have this affinity for Japanese life, the culture. I don't know what this is. And I said, when I dance, I can dance like I've trained, and I've never trained a day in my life, and I don't get that either. And she said, it was really interesting, because when she was getting what I would call a download, she'd always twitch. And she warned me, she said, I apologize, but I twitch when I get a download. She said, you do this little twitch. And she told me that I had been Asian in a past life, that my sister, the person who is currently my sister, had been my wife. We had 2 little girls, and that it was an arranged marriage, and that we had died when they dropped a bomb, basically. And a piece of shrapnel had gone through the back of my head, out my jaw, and I had passed. What this person didn't know when she told me was that since I was a tiny little tyke up until I was around 8 or 9, I was petrified of fireworks, petrified of the bang and way they sounded like they were falling. What she didn't know was that when I was a little kid, I did not understand why people would never get frightened when a plane flew overhead, because any minute they could drop a bomb. Why would nobody be frightened of that? And what she didn't know was that as a tiny little kid, I would sit in the tub, I'd put water in my mouth and let it drip out. Imagine I was bleeding to death out my mouth.
Wow.
No explanation for that, right? Well, then I knew that I had been living, she didn't tell me this, but I got this later, my hair is standing. I was living in Nagasaki. It was at the end of World War II when they dropped the bomb. And that's when I died. Now, years later, separate from me, I didn't know this, but my sister later on told me she had this dream more than once, in which she said, Drac, I don't understand it, but it's like we're in this big stadium, and I'm standing next to this Asian man, and he has one of those hats on, and he said, I don't know why, Drac, but I know it was you. I know it was you. I don't know who you are in my life, but I know it was you. And she said, I always feel intense when I tell this. To this day, it's not gone. She said, and then I hear the drone of planes, and I look up, and then she'll wake up, and her heart's like, boom, 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 boom. Separate from me, she had this dream, not knowing about what I knew and when I was this psychic. So years later, I had my own personal, what you would call download in meditation, and was told that my name was Saku, and I did not know what that was, and I looked it up later, and it was confirmed that it's a Japanese name common for blossoming. My name was Saku. I was a rice worker. I just worked on a rice farm. My sister and I did not get along well, and I was walked through why. It was very unsettling for me. I didn't enjoy the memory. But I was told very clearly that the reason I was remembering this was because it was very important that I understand why the dynamics that existed between my sister and I, and that it was important for these to be resolved. As a result of that, years later when my sister was speaking to me again, I was able to navigate what she was struggling with. And now we get along very well, and there's been much healing and growth on both ends. I was also told with the dancing that I had been one of Isadora Duncan's dancers in her troupe.
Wow.
And when I looked her up and looked at what the genre was and the style, I danced precisely like that style,
Wow.
with no training. So I tell you these things not just to make an interesting story, but to bring up the importance of how in the lives that we lead right now, we are profoundly impacted by lives we've had before or experiences we've had. And it's so important to pay attention to our lives, to notice the patterns, to notice the things we like. Why? Why? Because this is part of our learning. This is part of our growth. You know, people think of karma as just a punishment, but it's not. Karma, it's about growth, learning, and spiritual development. Karma is what we carry into our next life because we need to grow, we need to learn. Now, the same dynamics that existed between my sister and I in a completely different incarnation, in different roles, were brought right into this life we had now. We're not all going to remember lives. We don't need to. I probably just needed what I call an extra Holy Ghost kick in the butt to help me to see a few things I would have not seen. It's not necessary. It's just necessary to be aware and to know that what we do today can impact our tomorrow. So what kind of life do we want to live today? Why wait? Why wait on that dream? Why wait to tell somebody you love them? Why wait to be honest about something that you know somebody might not agree with you about? You've got to step into your truth. It's going to impact things. So I look at patterns like, okay, for instance, look at relationships you've had. Are there patterns? For me, I had patterns with mine where I've had a lot of experiences where I was victimized. I've looked at other lives where it happened before. I'm still trying to figure it out. So I've really paid attention to that and asked myself, how do I want to show up in this world? How can I step into my truth and my power so I'm not in this role of victimhood anymore? Because it could happen tomorrow, right? We look at our successes and failures. Is there a pattern there? Are there things that challenge you more, or are there things that you find come so easily to you? I was a natural dancer, not a lesson in my life. That's carryover. It's all carryover. It's a fascinating thing. And when you look at prodigies like Mozart, who was just a childhood prodigy, that's carryover. People bring abilities they've had from other lives into their current ones, which is a really amazing thing. Ernest Holmes said, I don't see how there can be life after death. There can't be any. There is no life after death because there is no death. It is just a continuation of life. It's just a continuation. We keep continuing on. Life and death are just a continuation of one form of life moving into the other. I like to say it's like a shifting shape. This is one of my favorite Eckhart Tolle. You are not separate from the whole. You are one with the sun, the earth, the air. You don't have a life. You are a life. You are a life. So I asked this last week in one word or another. It's like, what kind of life do you want to have? If you were to pass away today, how would you want to be remembered? Those are questions to ask ourselves, because those invite us to step more fully into who we are, our highest aspect of ourselves. Right now, there's a chorus, and you could tell us all about it, couldn't you, Carmen, where they have a course going on right now at CCSL, and people are working on writing their obituaries. And I had to do that when I was going through coursework to become I want to say chaplain, to become a practitioner in the New Thought, religious science faith. And it changed my life to look at that, because I'm looking at what I wanted to be remembered by. I began to think about, am I living that way now? Am I living that way now? I like to talk about the present because the present has such a powerful impact on our tomorrows. And I also think that it can have a profound impact on our yesterdays, because time is moving around all the time. It's hard for this little pea brain of mine to comprehend, but in my heart, I know it's true, and I've read it too, that what we're doing now, all these different time zones are happening at one time. Tomorrow, yesterday, right now, it's all happening. And what I do right now impacts my tomorrow, and what I'm doing right now impacts what happened yesterday, as crazy as that seems. So we look at how we're living now, we ask ourselves these questions. So I'm going to run you through a very simple exercise of that. Very simple. Where we just close our eyes, we take a deep breath. And imagine yourself in a place that feels very good to you, very peaceful, very at home. Whether it's a meadow or your favorite lake in the woods, or Joshua Tree in the desert, wherever it is for you. And imagine that you are sitting in this place right now, and that you're not in a body anymore because you have left your body. And as you're sitting there, a small screen up in the air opens up slowly in front of you in your mind, and you can see what is going on below on the planet, this planet here. You can see your own funeral, or your memorial, or your celebration of life. And you get to hear the stories people tell about you. Imagine, if you can, one person walking up and sharing a story about you that's precious to them, or left a great impression on them, or made them laugh. Imagine the look on their face and what they're saying. And now imagine that one more person comes up. And they start to share something about you. Listen to what they're saying, and as they're saying it, notice their facial expression and what they share. And as you're sitting there, notice what you're feeling in your divine self, how this feels for you to see it and to hear it and to experience that while you're sitting in this beautiful place that is so home for you. And as you're sitting with those feelings, notice that the screen starts to close again until it's just a little line and it just disappears. And you place your hand on your heart thinking about it. And then you open your eyes. I'd like you to remember what was said and how it felt for you. And you can open your eyes when you feel ready to, for real. I'd like you to remember this so that we can talk about it around a meal after this service. I'd love to hear what people have remembered, because the importance of this is that what you saw and what you felt and what you heard speaks to the higher self that you are, or it can speak to some things you want to resolve, but it's important things to share about who we are and want to be in this world. So I'm gonna close now. And I want to thank all of you for taking this different journey with me. And know and understand that what we share when we have a meal together is going to just help us all learn a little more and grow a little more. So thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's going to do some special music, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, we have Julie.
We have
And
Julie
it's
doing some
really-
special music.
It's really, I like the picture because today is Trinity Sunday, and one of the symbols of the Trinity is a dove, and there it is, and doves are like messengers, birds, I think of birds. This is called Birds in Flight.
Wow.
That was
Wow, what a,
beautiful.
oh, that was beautiful.
Our flight out of our bodies, right?
The flight out of our bodies. Oh my God, that was beautiful. So let's all say the closing affirmation and prayer here that we have. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.